Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Gill from Pulsar Health, and today I'm joined by Ed Shepherd. If you want to say hi, Ed.
Hi, everybody.
Ed is the owner of West Palm Beach is Kickbox Club, and it got recently renamed, so that's why I'm struggling with the name a little bit. But he is he's on the Tasty Nutrition Day Thursday instead of Fitness Friday because he's actually certified in nutrition too. He's extremely well rounded. He is somebody I met last year because he has this amazing gym where there's these bunches of bags and everybody looks badass and you're like, whoa. And then I found out he has this great nutrition program too, and people have lost a ton of weight. And he's also interested in longevity and good health. So he has so much to offer us in terms of his wisdom, his knowledge. And so I want you to learn a little bit more about Mr. Ed Shepherd, and he can take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Gill. I'll start with a little bit of my background. I haven't always been in the fitness world. Most of my adult life was spent in the corporate world as a sales manager. And as such, I was expected to work long hours, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. So, and that takes its toll on you when you do that much. It's a lot of pressure. You have to deliver all the time. And well, just after a few years, I gained a lot of weight. I was heavy. I had a lot of back issues, from slumping over a computer all day. I was taking blood pressure pills, high cholesterol pills, some heart problems, stomach problems. It's just probably an average American. You have a problem, you take a pill. But during all this time, I would work out as well. I was really an avid runner, at least 3 times a week. There was times when I would lift weights could be a year or 2 at a time.
Was there any competition with your brother? Because Ed's brother, Steve, is a world champion kickboxer. Did you guys ever compete as to who was fitter or wrestle with each other or anything?
Well, no, well, he was a world champion, so that wouldn't be much of a competition. But early on, yes. When we were kids, yes, that's what it would always be about. But I took a different path. I took a path, a safe path to make money, obviously. He took the path of being an athlete, which is a big gamble. But for him, it worked out quite well. Actually, for both of us, it worked out well. But we came around in the end, so he became my partner, and it's one of the reasons why I joined. And
so how did that? So your health was deteriorating, but you were still exercising. And so how did it come about that you guys partnered up? What happened?
Well, I came to a point in my life where I knew that it wasn't sustainable. You can't keep going on forever. They want more and more from you. You get less of a life, and my health was deteriorating.
I'm sure a lot of people relate to that. Yeah.
A lot of people can relate to that because it's today's life. Yeah. So I decided to make a change, and I was talking to my brother, and I said to him, "Hey, why don't we open up a gym?" And he says, "All right." He was in retirement, and he agreed to do that. And so it was pretty much a no-brainer. I've got to get into kickboxing because it's not kickboxing for competition. It's kickboxing for
fitness, yeah.
Fitness, for health and fitness. Mm-hmm. So it's a great thing because it works everything. It's resistance training and also cardio. So it works well for that.
They do have a little ring though, which is really cool. They do have a little.
Yes. Yeah, the ring is cool. Not everybody uses the ring, nor do they.
But they have
or should they?
Body weight equipment too. They have like heavy balls and ropes and.
Well, that's where we're a little bit different in that we do circuit training, which is fast training. So you get your heart rate up very fast, which allows you to burn more calories and lose more weight.
Like the high intensity training, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
When I went to your classes, you have a wide range of ages and genders, and so it's
absolutely
everybody can do to some extent.
From a 5-year-old up to in the 70s. Sure, it's a type of exercise because you go at your own pace.
Yeah.
Most everybody comes because they want to get in shape or lose weight. They're
So
not.
yeah, and you're certified in nutrition by the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So how did that come about? Was it because people wanted to lose weight that you got interested in it, or was it because you personally were overweight at the beginning of all this?
Yes, it's something I've always been interested in. I've always read a lot of books, and it's always a lot of confusing because when I was running, I'd read books on like from Pritikin or Covert Bailey, Fit or Fat. It's all carbs, low fat, low protein. A lot of carbs. Or when I lift weights, then hey, forget the carbs, have all protein. So it's all very confusing on what they're doing. And the more you read, the more there's probably thousands of diet books.
And every one of them is so convincing. You're like, this
everyone. They all have their scientists who back it up, and they all have and they probably all work. I mean, they sell millions of them, for a reason. They probably do work. Well, they just don't work forever.
Exactly.
They're not the same.
Not forever and not for everyone. I mean, we're all so different. What works for me is probably not the same thing as what works for you. And so it's hard for people to figure out, okay, what is the thing that works for me? But you've experienced like teaching people how to lose weight. So how do you go about it?
Well, there's some basic rules, but certainly what you said.
Here come the secrets, guys.
There are some secrets. There are, whether or not they're pretty obvious. But you're absolutely right. What works for one may be poison for another. There's no one size fits all when it comes to diet or nutrition. Diets per se, unless they're a lifestyle change, so you can't just concentrate on one area forever. There's got to be a lifestyle change. So if I had to give one piece of advice to say there's only one thing to change, what would it be? And that would be drink more water. Mm-hmm. So your body's made up of 75% of water. If you could go without food for say 2 weeks, but you can only go without water maybe 2-3 days before you die.
And the water thing is really interesting because there have been some controlled studies and things that show that having things that are drinking water before meals, like 1 or 2 cups before meals, or having things that have a lot of water in them, like a lot of vegetables can be 80-90% water, though filling your stomach with those things does result in weight loss. And so the water thing I think is huge, especially because a lot of us don't make time to drink. I do have some right here. I'm going to drink some. Do you have some?
Always have water. Well, that's true. And also sometimes you think you're hungry, but you're really dehydrated. You're thirsty. So a lot of times if you're hungry, you can just drink water. So water's the key.
Like tea, coffee, sodas, they're not the same, are they?
Well, they don't. I wouldn't say coffee or tea counts because they really dehydrate you. So, but like you said, the vegetables do. A soup. There's nothing wrong with drinking tea or coffee. But it's still water in itself. So certainly, if you're drinking water, you're not drinking soft drinks, which is of course on the other end of the spectrum, the worst thing you can do. So drink a lot of water. And then I have what I call the 90-10 rule, and that is 90% of the time, eat right. Eat what is correct, what you should eat. 10% of the time, you can have anything. So this way you're not a failure if you end up and you eat some potato chips or, whatever.
I had Oreos earlier today.
That's okay. But if it's called crowding out. The more the good stuff you eat, you don't have room for the bad stuff. So 90-10 rule. And
by 90-10, do you mean 10% of your calories or 10% of like the volume, or like what is that 10%?
Well, I certainly wouldn't suggest anybody count calories. It's just not doable. So you don't have to worry about any kind of counting calories. Just 90% of the time when you're eating something, mm-hmm. Make it the right stuff.
Okay.
Make it the good stuff. And 10% of the time, it's okay. if you don't. Um, that may mean for you if you are vegetarian, and maybe have a little piece of meat occasionally, and that's part of it. But whatever for you, whatever is not right for you, it doesn't mean no, you shouldn't eat 10% of the time eat Snickers bars. You know what I mean? It's just it's called, again, crowding out.
Mm-hmm.
So next is eat more fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So that's key, and you can have as much fruits and vegetables as you want.
What kind of ways do you recommend eating the vegetables? What are there any, like we had Lenore Nolan Ryan on last week who gave us a great stir fry example. But what kind of ways do you recommend people work in those vegetables to their diet?
Well, when you're probably talking more about what gets you the best nutrition, the value of nutrition, and yes, lightly cooked or raw would get you more of the nutrients.
Although I have heard that having spices can also help you lose weight, especially garlic powder, ginger powder, cayenne pepper, black cumin. Those have all independently been shown to lose weight. So you could stick those in with your vegetables somehow.
Absolutely, there's micronutrients. We don't know all the things. There's so many combinations and of what. But for me, it's all good.
And then
whatever gets you eating it, whatever gets you liking it is good.
What about salad dressings? I know vinegar, like especially apple cider vinegar, has also been shown to help reduce weight. But what about dressings? Like, what kind of dressings do you recommend for the raw vegetables or the salads?
Well, that's a whole nother discussion of if fat is good for you, and certainly studies now show that fat's good for you. Just olive oil. So if you're from the camp of like I am, I'm from Mediterranean type of diets. I love olive oil. So for me, it's vinaigrette, which has some olive oil in it. That's what I like. But there's a matter of quantity, so you don't need to drench it.
Yeah.
So there's some tricks you can do if you go to a restaurant and order a salad. You can get it on the side, and then you control it yourself, or you can ask just for light. Not light dressing, that's different, but light on the amount.
Okay.
So I would say whatever you like. I'm not going to say, you don't need to like overthink it. You don't need to get one particular brand over another. It's again, just eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Carbs, there's good carbs and there's bad carbs. So a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, you're eating vegetables, they're carbs. Fruit turns to sugar, you hear. So you hear all those things. Well, everything does. You need energy. So your body has to have carbs for energy. The alternative is protein or fats to eat. So it doesn't matter. Whatever fruits and veggies, eat the rainbow. Eat as much as you can.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people have criticized the keto diet because it cuts down your vegetables too much if you're following the strict keto plan, as opposed to the paleo plan, which has more vegetables in it. But shouldn't really be a reason to limit your vegetables, should there? I mean, surely.
No, there should be no. And I'm not. I mean, the argument is that's what our ancestors did. A couple 100,000 years ago, and I'm really not from that camp.
I heard a counter argument against that. I heard that 2 million years ago, maybe they ate like that, but 50 million years ago, it was like the apes. It was all vegetables. It depends on how far back you go.
Well, also they really couldn't hunt every day. They went without food for days at a time. So it wasn't like they had, meat on the table or on the floor or whatever it was like every day. Yeah. I'm not a believer in that. I think a lot of them they went on the route of growing food, and they went as farmers. And that's that lot when the discussion of blood types is that were you a meat eater, or did you run off to the north and do more farming?
Like it's interesting because the like the Dalai Lama and that community, they tried to go vegetarian, but because their ancestors grew up in the hills where they couldn't farm, they have to have some meat because otherwise they get sick. Whereas other people whose ancestors were mainly like farmers and didn't have much meat, a lot of people in China, for example, if they have too much meat, they get sick. So, and like the whole China study with Colin Campbell showed that if you have over a certain amount of meat, your chances of heart disease, of cancer, everything goes much, much higher. What do you
That
think?
was one of the first books I've read, was the China study. That's what really made me kind of really start realizing the ramifications of what you eat and the American diet, and how bad the American diet truly is. I mean, we have 75% of overweight and obesity in America.
It's killing us. It's killing our lifestyle.
Definitely killing us. And it's also not just, back then, the types of meat they had was much different. Grass-fed meat, free roaming. Today it's factory farming, packing in, and it's again a whole different story. We probably don't want to get into.
I wrote down a fact about that. In 1896, chicken was 23% protein and 1.8% fat. In 2004, the same chicken was 23% fat and 16% protein. So
Yeah.
fatter with less protein.
Yeah, and of course they, who knows what they injected into to make them grow faster, and maybe the government made them stop doing some of that now. But it's just, if you are going to eat meat, I'm a believer in eating the best quality as you can, and that means, or the easiest is organic, or certainly grass-fed, or cage-free. Eat the best quantity, and you don't need the next point is you want to limit, or at least eat less meat. So becoming a vegetarian or a vegan is not for everybody. I believe in plant-based diet. So, and that's kind of vague. That could mean you could eat meat if you were eating it 3 meals a day, 7 times a week. Maybe you just eat it once a day, or once every other day. So just cut down on meat. It's better for the environment. It's certainly better for you. And going at the China study, kind of proves it.
So what should you have instead of the meat? You started talking a little bit about whole grains, or like what, and vegetables. Like what do you do instead?
Well,
instead of bacon and eggs in the morning, what do you do?
Exactly. There's a belief that you need a lot of protein. So especially if you do lift weights, or if you exercise, you need much more protein. The USDA recommends that you have 50 grams a day for a woman, 60 for a man. That is about, the size of your palm is about 30 grams. So two meats a day would do, that's as much as you need. So there's lots of protein in other foods.
Yeah, vegetables, peas.
Everything, yeah. Edamame has 30 grams in a cup. Broccoli, peas, beans.
And then the combination of like rice and beans has like a complete protein versus just one or the other. So combinations of certain foods.
Exactly. There's really almost no such thing as a protein deficiency in America. Do you know anybody who's ever had protein deficiency? It's almost unheard of unless you're a vegan. Yeah. And then you got to struggle a little bit. So maybe you've got to have a little tofu. It's not a worry about how you can eliminate or cut down on protein.
There are concerns about soy too, like because of the estrogen content and things like that. So I think edamame's, like, I know that some people are saying that maybe like beans and vegetables are a better way to go than soy, and soy and dairy, for example. But it is an adjustment of what ingredients people are going to use to cook. And you do recommend cooking, don't you? I think you mentioned that you gave me a cheat sheet.
Yes, with cooking you get to control the situation. So it's good to learn how to cook and how to experiment. But if you go out to dinner, there's tricks you can do to, as well. But yeah, cooking is good for you.
Like, how did you learn to cook and to change your diet? Like, what was the process, and what's the process you teach people when they come in to lose weight with you?
Well, we talk and we find out what they do eat. So I normally ask, so what would you have the last few days? And they break it down, and then we discuss. Again, it's eating more fruits and vegetables, certainly cut down on the meat, and portion control. Portion control is a big thing.
And what about timing of food?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. To me, it never was logical that of a timing. When you're hungry, you eat, and that seems like logical to me. You don't need to eat. I worked late at night, so I get home at 9. I'd have dinner at 10, which is not a great idea because then your body is digesting it, and maybe you don't get enough sleep. So if you're talking about maybe being sleep deprived, or if it's affecting your nighttime, you shouldn't eat late. Plus, if you have dinner early and you eat late, you're probably snacking. Mm-hmm. So, which you want to cut down. So, but as far as how your body works, it's my belief it doesn't matter when you eat. If you want to skip breakfast, like I don't eat breakfast. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I was always worried about that, but what difference does it make if I eat at 12 or 10? So I don't think it's a problem. I think people write books about, and they come up with these anecdotes of what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and it's usually to sell books.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with checking in with yourself and seeing what works for you. And like, do you feel good or not good after you eat this or that, or at this time? For example, like if you have carbs, if you eat the right amount, you shouldn't be sleepy afterwards. You should, because your insulin level shouldn't be spiking. It should be like the amount you eat should make you feel like relaxed and sated, not still hungry or sleepy. So I think listening in to exactly what's going on when you do eat does help, and listening to your hunger, listening to satiety, listening to your own sort of signals, I think is really important.
In Japan, they have the 80% rule. I forget, they have a name for it, but I forget the name. But they eat until they're 80% full. So they don't overstuff themselves, because it takes your brain a while to realize that you're full. They say it takes up to a half an hour before it gets to your brain. So yes, it's very wise not to overeat, not to overstuff yourself, and certainly eating rice and vegetables, or you don't get that full feeling as eating meat. So definitely. So I'm not trying to suggest people cut out anything. Mm-hmm. Just cut down on the bad stuff.
Okay. And then you also had this interesting thing about the blue zones, and we're veering off a little bit off weight loss into longevity, into quality of life and length of life. So do you want to tell the guys about blue zones? It was very interesting when you shared that with me.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorite subjects. In going to the school IIN, they had a speaker one time, and his name is Dan Buettner. And he gave about an hour seminar, and it was fascinating to me. He partnered with National Geographic magazine. They set out to find the places on Earth where people live the longest. So, and it took years. They spent 4 or 5 years finding out, and they came up with 5 places that these people live 80, 90, into their hundreds. On the average of 17 years more than the average person, or the person in the country or the city right next to them. So those were in Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Akira in the Greek islands. Those are the places that they found where they lived the longest. And so why that's important is because they trying to find a commonality. What do they have in common that we can all learn from, so we can all live to be 90? And it's not just living long, it's quality of life. It's called morbidity. And morbidity is your final years or months, what it's like. And in America, it's not so good. You're put into a nursing home, and maybe your last 2, 3, 4 years are not pleasant. So they don't have that over there. They don't go to nursing homes. They live, they work. They don't even know how to retire. They're always, and they have several things in common. So one thing in common is they all have movement in their day. So they don't belong to, none of them belong to gyms. They just walk. They have movement.
Walking is huge. In Europe, we walk a lot more. I grew up in England.
Exactly. And look at the different people in France and in Italy. Look how much thinner they are. And you look at Japan. And that's it. They walk. And so whether it's walk, run, go to the store, garden, have movement. Yeah. And they all do. They also learn how to de-stress. They all have that in common. So everybody gets stress, but you got to learn to find ways to lessen it. So that's important. They all have a sense of purpose. So here, when you get older, they look at you and they go, "Oh, you know, your time is up. You're not useful anymore. Let's put you in a nursing home." They don't, as I say, they don't do that over there. They have a purpose, and usually it's take care of the grandkids, the great grandkids, or the great great grandkids.
Even dog sit. Like
even dog sit. You have to wake up in the morning, and you got to know that you got a purpose. You got to feel good about getting up, and that'll help you live longer. If you can do that, you'll live longer. They all drink a little bit, so a little wine's good for you.
Yay.
Yep. And they all are on a plant-based diet, which is what we talked about. So they all eat meat. So they're not vegetarians. They all have some, but on average, they have 5 pieces of meat a month.
Not much.
Yeah, so not much, about once a week or so. And usually that's on a weekend, it's a Sunday, and it's a small amount. But
it's a celebration kind of thing rather than a daily thing. Yes,
exactly. I mentioned the 80% rule in the case of Okinawa, where they eat until they're 80%. But they all, and they put family first. They have a lot of friends, and not a lot of, you have to have at least 3 good friends, somebody you can talk to so you're not lonely, because loneliness is a killer.
Yeah.
So that's it. So that's what will help you live longer.
There was something about if you're married, you live longer too, or if you're with a partner, you live longer too.
Yes, that's absolutely true. It's said that you'll live 2 or 3 years longer if you stay married. So and then it's not only cheaper to keep her, it's also better for you. Stay in a committed relationship.
I think he's talking to the men out there. And so as far as making the change, you've helped a lot of people lose weight. How do you get them to do it? Do you see them every week? Like, how do you support them through these processes of changing their diet and lifestyle?
Yes, we meet twice a week for 8 weeks, and we go over. Sometimes people, they're overweight and they eat all the right things, but they're still overweight, just like I was. Mm-hmm. So what is that? What is the reason? And sometimes it could be a relationship. It could be you're a lot of stress. It could be a lot of other reasons, and that's what we try to find out. That's what a health coach does. Try to find out what are your triggers. Where can you be helped? So.
And that's true with functional medicine too. We look at hormones. We look at your lifestyle, all those things. Yeah. What is there a lot of inflammation, or is it the right or wrong types of things that you're doing? So I think it's a balance of all those to put it together. And a health coach or using labs and talking, all of those things are part of like what will work as an intervention to work for you.
Absolutely. And maybe you're eating a lot of ice cream at night. So now we give little tips for that. So instead of ice cream, change it to a yogurt and put some fruit in the yogurt. So now you've got a nice little healthy snack instead of, gobs of ice cream.
So it's small changes, but and gradually change,
Exactly.
permanent changes.
Exactly. And maybe certain things maybe coffee is bad for you. And so maybe it's that. So you have to experiment. So a lot of it is eliminating things for a while, trying things out. Hey, let's not eat this. Let's lay off. Maybe eat a lot of breads or whatever it is. Let's lay off that for this until I see you next week, and see how you feel. So and that's what it's about.
Yeah. But it's great to have that kind of support structure. Everyone can do it themselves, but it's great to have an objective opinion and somebody who's seen a lot of people go through the process and can be better sort of pick out what the problem might be, because when you're in it, it's hard to see.
Exactly.
It's what's working.
Right.
Well, we are just about out of time. So how can people contact you if they want to get hold of you for weight loss coaching, or just getting fit, or just living a better life?
Awesome. Well, my website is the Kickbox Club. So look me up there. And should I give my phone number or now? Or?
No, we'll put it on the YouTube description.
Okay, good.
We'll do that. Yeah.
And of course, we can't see anybody right now, but we're coming out of this soon. And
yep. And how are you gonna be able to like open the gym up with how just spacing people out more, or what are you gonna do for the gym?
I don't know. I don't know because I think people are going to be afraid.
Yeah.
For a while, so I don't think spacing out is going to be much of an issue for a while. But yes, I think from now, I think the world's going to change, at least for maybe the next year, where people are going to keep that 6 foot distance.
Yeah.
And I think that's wise, certainly. But we are an open air gym, so open air, they found out, is much good. Better than enclosed. Yeah.
But it is a good time to address your weight and your health, because it's not like now to really change your habits. So
exactly.
That was great. Well, thank you so much. You've shared amazing wisdom and your experience, and we really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Ed.
Well, thank you.
Right.
Have a great day. Thank you.